On New Year's Day, there were unprecedented levels of flooding across Greater Manchester. People were trapped in their homes. Others had to be rescued from cars stranded in floodwater. A major incident was declared. At Meadow Mill in Stockport, around 400 people had to be evacuated.
There's a big issue there now about, is that likely to happen again? And the chances are it's very likely to happen again. So this building needs to be flood-proofed.
Professor Jamie Woodward says floods like the ones we saw at New Year are likely to become the norm.
This just shows the height of the flood. It is the biggest flood that's ever been recorded on the Tame. If you look at the flood records for the River Mersey, for example, the River Tame flows into the Mersey just downstream of here. The 3 biggest floods ever monitored on the Mersey have happened in the last 4 years.
Scientists say this heavy rain is down to climate change, but flooding depends on infrastructure and how fast the rain flows into rivers.
The Environment Agency did a fantastic job, and the teams are out on the night. They opened the flood alleviation scheme at Sale, but those flood defences were designed for a climate system that no longer exists.
Road runoff and blocked drains can cause localised flooding, although some experts say in extreme downpours they're unlikely to impact river levels. We know our climate is changing, but how do we know that one single event is down to climate change?
Increased frequency in heavy rainfall events has been attributed to human-induced climate change. So the really heavy rain we saw is consistent with that, and it's the type of event which will inevitably happen more frequently and to a more extreme extent as the climate continues to change.
The answer is for us to reduce greenhouse gases as fast as possible. Here at the Didsbury flood basin, 17 millimetres of rain fell in 18 hours. It overtopped the embankment and in places it crumbled.
The levels are approximately 7 metres that this flood basin can reach, but it was around 7.5 metres New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. It's the highest levels that we've ever recorded in the River Mersey. We issued 55 flood alerts and flood warnings. We unfortunately had around 100 properties that were flooded, although we did protect over 12,000 properties across Greater Manchester.
The embankment is having temporary repairs, but is this system really fit for purpose?
These embankments are historical embankments that are made up of rock and soil, so we will probably replace it with something that's more structural, but that's in design at the moment.
The Environment Agency is building and improving flood defences across the region, but admits it can't protect every home. They can, however, warn residents if they're at risk, and is asking people to sign up to their flood alerts.
On New Year's Eve in South Manchester, we had almost a month's rainfall. So these small urban rivers with their brick banks, and they've been built upon, they can't cope with those flows. So it may well be we're going to get a larger number of floods, and we need to cope with that.
Judy Hobson, BBC North West Tonight, Manchester.
So bad news for everyone who was caught up in it, for sure.